And that is a real trend right now in the NFL. It's something that we've mentioned a few times, the idea that there are so many great receivers coming into the draft every single year, and I think it goes back to the very basic premise that the 7-on-7 camps that happen throughout high school and college develop the receivers, because the quarterbacks who are developing through those camps are throwing the ball to somebody. Somebody's getting those reps. Somebody's developing more quickly than they otherwise would, and we've got plenty of great receivers. Now, it still is a little bit hit or miss. It's not that every receiver that you draft in round one ends up being a great receiver. That's why the Chiefs may need to go for a couple of guys and see who pans out. But that's the play. If you have a guy who wants that much money, and again, you need to be one of the teams that doesn't have the F them picks mindset. It's a team that wants to take those picks and use those picks and harvest and cultivate young players at a cheap rate relative to what a veteran is going to cost you. That's kind of what they've done here. It's kind of what the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson. Before we have to pay him more than we want to pay, let's just get draft picks instead. Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs, before we give this guy what he wants, let's just get the draft picks instead. It is a win-win because you have a team now that gets the star player it covets, and you get a team that gets the draft picks that it values, and it hopes that it takes guys that Chiefs fans will say, well, who the hell is that? And within a year or two, they'll be saying, who the hell is that? And then that's the guy that everybody goes out and buys his jersey, and he becomes the new Tyreek Hill. That's the mindset. And at some point, Hill was going to be gone during Patrick Mahomes' career. At some point, Hill was going to be gone. So you either wait for him to retire, you wait for him to slow down to the point where you cut him, or you sell high. They sold as high as they could. They avoided another huge contract. They never really paid him gigantic money, and the contract was structured in a way that protected them against an off-field issue. Now they move on, and you got to trust Brett Veach to do at the receiver position what he did at the quarterback position. Go out and find somebody who can kick ass and get it done.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing, too, is that the Chiefs need some defensive additions as well. Right? I think that they could get better when it comes to edge rusher. Right? So if you have these more picks, then you're allowing yourselves more shots at the dartboard to get guys that can be effective, not just offensively. And obviously, you know, when you get rid of Tyreek Hill, you have to replace him somehow. But I mean, you could also use those picks to get after somebody who can help you on defense as well. You know, you got Justin Reed to replace Tyrann Mathieu in the back end. That's great. But how else can you improve yourself defensively, especially when you're going against teams now that have guys like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? When you're talking about the Chargers, you got to face them twice a year. You got Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow with the Raiders, got to face them twice a year. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, got to face them twice a year. So there are a lot of things that the Chiefs can do with picks like this and with as many shots at the dartboard as you got. Because, I mean, I am very thankful, Mike, that we really haven't had to talk much draft yet, because I'm one of these people that, frankly, I don't love talking about the draft because you're trying to sell hope, and like hope doesn't really do much for me. But, you know, when you are with the Chiefs and like you have all these top heavy contracts, especially with the QB, that's kind of what you have to do. And so you want as many shots at it as you can possibly get in order to improve your football team. So it's not quite just about like F them picks, right? When Leslie talks about that, he does say that there are ways that the Rams do get extra picks, but they're just in the mid to later rounds. So it's how do you see teams valuing the early picks versus the later picks and getting as many shots at the dartboard as you can get?
Hope doesn't really do it for me. I never would have guessed you were a Browns fan, ever.
Well, that's why it doesn't do anything for me, Mike. I mean, how many times will we go into the draft? Like, oh, we got 2 first-round picks. Oh, my gosh, look, it's, you know, Brandon Weeden and Justin Gilbert. And, oh, great. You know,
Johnny Manziel.
I was going to say defensive tackle and Johnny Manziel, or Justin Gilbert and Johnny Manziel, I guess was that same draft. I don't know. Brady Quinn was another one of those guys that they picked, but I think that was the Joe Thomas draft. So at least you got one Hall of Famer out of that. I don't know. Like I said, the draft is just
Well, it's funny because I feel the same way too about it, just because I understand what the selling point is and how the NFL presses the buttons on the fans to get people excited about the idea that you're going to grab that one guy that's going to transform your team. And it does get people excited. It sells plausible hope to everyone, and you're going to turn your
Except
team
you and
around.
me.
You're going to get a Joe Burrow. You're going to get a Tom Brady. I mean, it's still interesting, but I don't get all caught up in it because the other side of it, too, is most of these guys don't pay dividends until year 2, 3, or 4. Some come right away. Some will make an impact right away, but for the most part, they don't. And what happens is, and then we got to take a break and we'll continue the Tyreek Hill conversation. What I always get a kick out of, we spend weeks in the run-up to the draft focusing on draft, sell, hope, and everybody knows every prospect 50 different ways. And then the draft comes and goes, and it's like it never happened. And there's maybe 10 guys that we pay attention to when they all get thrown into the vat with all the veterans. That obsession over who the new players are disappears the moment the draft ends. It's just all part of the churning of the offseason, February to late April, all these little details, and they just disappear because these guys are going to be competing with guys who have been in the league 2, 5, 10, 12 years. So anyway.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.